Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas, and we finally got here. We finally got to the last of my list of my top 100 favorite movies of the 1980s. We are at my top 5 favorite movies of the decade and 5 of my favorite movies of all time. Really incredible movies, and really happy to get to talking about these movies. And definitely, there is definitely a similarity between them. They're all pretty much action, adventure, sci-fi movies. Those definitely have been the best of the 80s period. Yeah, and you'll see definitely they all connected in some way, it feels like, through either, I think, George Lucas or Steven Spielberg has their hands on all 5 of these movies in some way. But before I get to the list, I just want to thank again Ryan from Real Talks with Ryan for suggesting this project, because he won my contest of predicting the Oscars, and I appreciate him doing that, and I hope he competes again next year and tries to defend his championship. And hopefully you're really enjoying this list, Ryan, and hopefully everybody, these are all big movies. These are no surprises. These are movies that are going to be on anybody's list. I'm no different. They're huge movies for a reason, and that's why they're here. So let's get to it here on Jason the Old Millennial. No way! All right, starting out top 5. At number 5, we got Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes. Or it might have been called Raiders of the Lost Ark when it first came out. But it's the very first Indiana Jones movie. Of course, directed by the great Steven Spielberg, my favorite director of all time. Produced by George Lucas, as well as they came up with this idea of doing these action-adventure movies starring a guy, archaeologist, professor, who also goes out on these adventures, finding artifacts to put in the museum, and he wears the cool hat and jacket and got the whip. What a great image, iconic character, and so wonderfully played by Harrison Ford. I think it's my favorite, maybe my favorite role of Harrison Ford. It's hard to say. It's hard, but man, I absolutely love him as Indiana Jones. It's a great character. I mean, obviously, Harrison Ford's so cool. You just have that cool factor with Harrison Ford. He's good looking, and he's also very funny. He's got a great sense of humor. It's just a great character, and Harrison Ford is just so perfect for this role. Yeah, it's just a fun movie. We're here. And I love the whole premise of finding something from the biblical times, of course, because I believe in the Bible and that everything in the Bible is real. So it's kind of a cool idea to go, hey, let's find something. One of the greatest artifacts you could find, the Ark of the Covenant, which, I mean, I don't know what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. It's gone. We're never going to see it. But the idea that we found it and it has some kind of power because of God, I think it's a really cool premise overall. And it's just a cool adventure movie of traveling to different countries and dealing with Nazis. I mean, Nazis are such good bad guys. Love movies where we're beating up Nazis. That's always a great thing. And so we got him going, and he got, I love going to, let's go Mongolia or whatever, where he tries to find, what's her name? Now I'm forgetting the name of the actress is, I think, Karen Black. Marion. When he goes finds Marion in that bar. Love that whole scene. And this is one of the best action movies of all time. Yeah, action is so good. I mean, like I said, the bar scene where he's fighting off the Nazis, and it's just really great directed, great edited, everything just wonderfully done. And then one of my favorite scenes is when he gets onto the back of this military vehicle with the Nazis, and he climbs his way to the front, and he fights the Nazi driving it, and he's been shot. He got shot, so he's hurt, and the Nazis hit him in the arm, his injured arm, and the Nazi ends up getting the better of him and throwing him out the front of the vehicle, and so now he's in the front, almost getting run over. And he has to crawl underneath the vehicle. And he gets the whip, and he whips, and he's being dragged. He has to climb up the whip, get back on the back of the car, climb all the way back to the front, and then throw that Nazi guy out. One of the greatest action sequences of all time. I just love how it's all choreographed and shot. It's just amazing. It's just a really great scene. I don't know, like those scenes I absolutely love. But yeah, it's just one of the best action movies ever made, and great performances all around, and just makes you laugh. Yeah, it just can't get any better than these kind of movies. So yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark here at number 5 on my list. All right, number 4 on my list is going to be Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Easily could be number 1 on the list. In fact, I know a lot of people would have this number 1 on the list. So hopefully you don't hate me too much, but still, it's number 4. It's really high on my list. Many consider this the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. It's actually, I'm just going to spoil my list. It's my second favorite Star Wars movie ever made. So there's actually one more better, in my opinion, though they're both absolutely amazing. Yeah, and I love all 3 Star Wars movies. The original trilogy is all really great stuff. But yeah, this definitely is, I wouldn't say a little bit of an upgrade, maybe the first movie, but it just continues this great story of Star Wars. And what's great is really, again, Harrison Ford. It's crazy. I'm going to spoil this, but say Harrison Ford stars in my top 4 movie. 4 of my top 5 favorite movies of this decade star Harrison Ford. So I say he's probably the king of the 80s for me. I mean, this time he's Han Solo. Again, one of the greatest characters ever made. He's so dashing, he's handsome, he's cool, he's, really good he's a good pilot, good with a gun. He's got a good sense of humor. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones a little bit. Harrison Ford is just the perfect actor to play this type of character. And this, of course, the second time. But I like this movie because Han Solo's in the whole movie. While in Star Wars New Hope, he comes in a little bit into the movie. This, we get him through the whole movie, and we get more great chemistry between him and Leia. I think their scenes are really great, and we get kind of this, they kind of seem to not like each other, but of course we know they like each other, and then we kind of get that in that great scene of I love you, I know. What a great scene towards the end. We also get introduced another great Star Wars character, Yoda, played by Frank Oz. Of course, we get the Darth Vader theme in here, which is one of the most iconic themes of Star Wars. And we get Palpatine kind of for the first time. So we get even Emperor Palpatine, that there's even bigger bad than Darth Vader, who we got in the first movie. But yeah, it's just another great action adventure movie, sci-fi. The fight scenes on Hoth at the beginning are great. And then the ending is so good. I mean, it's one of the best endings to a movie. First, you got really great fight scene between Luke and Darth Vader. I still think it's one of the best fight scenes we've seen in Star Wars, and just the way it's shot and everything is done very, very well. Of course, George Lucas didn't direct this, but he produced it. Of course, so it's definitely has his handprint all over it. Written by I think Lawrence Kasdan. I forget the name of the director on this one, but yeah, I love the whole fight scene, how it ends. Of course, and you get I'm gonna spoil the movie, but you get the whole Luke, I am your father, one of the most iconic scenes of all time. And one of the great twists in movie history. Yeah, it's absolute classic. One of the greatest movies. If you like action, adventure, sci-fi, it's got to be up in your top 10. So, and this is in number 4 on my list here of the 1980s. Number 3, we're going back to Indiana Jones. This time, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade at number 3. So yeah, like I said, you're going to see a kind of a similarities between all these movies. So we got another Spielberg movie produced by George Lucas, and this is the third of the original trilogy before they made the last 2. A lot of us like to pretend the last 2 didn't exist, and we just have the original trilogy. I like this slightly better. Most people are going to say Raiders of the Lost Ark, the best Indiana Jones movie. I like Last Crusade a little bit better. Both are great. I don't mind anybody saying Raiders is the best. I like Last Crusade just a little bit better. And really that comes down to, I love the relationship between Sean Connery as Indiana Jones' father and then Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. that them together are so good. The scenes they have together, because it's a great story of like, he has this estranged relationship with his father, who's also a brilliant like professor and archaeologist himself or whatever. And they're both very smart guys, but they didn't have a good relationship growing up, and they haven't really talked to each other for a long time. And through this, set of circumstances, they have to come together, work together to stop the Nazis from going and getting the chalice of Jesus drank at the Last Supper. But yeah, I love how they kind of working on the relationship. You can tell there's a lot of tension between them, but there's a genuine love of each other, and we see that throughout the movie. And at the end, they really become father and son, and they really develop this good relationship. So it's a really good arc for both characters in that sense. Of course, another good, I should say all three movies have great like beginning parts. That's one of the best things about these is, I mean, this one I like the going back in time to when he was a kid as like a Boy Scout, and his first time like trying to get an artifact away from these guys, and the whole chase on the circus train. It's such a great sequence. Spielberg, that's why Spielberg's one of the greatest at this. So great beginning, and again, another great venture of traveling and dealing with the Nazis. The best scene, in my opinion, is when they have to he tries to save his father, who's kidnapped by the Nazis and is in like a tank, and they have to go save him and fight off these Nazis. That whole sequence, one of the best action sequences of all time. And you get the great, again, I love when the Indiana Jones music kicks in, dun 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 dun. Man, it just elevates everything during that sequence, but it's so well choreographed. It's such a complicated scene because you have so many things going on at once. People jumping on the tank to attack Indiana Jones, and his father almost falls off. He has to save him, and then he fights this Nazi as it goes off a cliff, and he almost dies himself. It's all just absolutely amazing, and even has some comedy at the end that really helps with Sean Connery's father going, "What are you doing just sitting around? We got stuff to do." Like after he almost falls off a cliff. Just really great stuff. Again, it's also the funniest, I think, of the Indiana Jones movies. Again, that's thanks to Sean Connery and Indiana Jones's, or Harrison Ford's, their chemistry together is so good. Yeah, it's a very funny movie at times while being a great action adventure, and emotional at the end when he calls his son Indiana for the first time. It's actually a very emotional moment. So yeah, it's just one of my favorite movies of all time. They're all great movies, but yeah, I have this at number 3, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So we're at top 2. What is going to be in my top 2? Well, as I said, there's one more Star Wars movie that I like better than Empire Strikes Back. So at number 2, we got Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Again, most people are going to disagree with me. Most people are going to say Empire Strikes Back is the best movie. I like Return of the Jedi just a little bit more. And I think that's really just because it's such a great closure to the trilogy. We see this great happy kind of ending, and I love happy endings. So the ending of this movie makes it slightly better for me, where I get really satisfied at the end, where it's like, okay, we finally defeated the evil Sith, and there's going to be peace again in the world. The rebels won, beat the Empire. I just really love that ending there. And I guess, and maybe that's just my personality compared to other people's personality. Love the Empire Strikes Back is not really a happy ending, and maybe some people love that. That's a kind of an unhappy ending. I like happy endings, so that's why I got it there. But it does have so many great scenes. I love the whole, rescuing Han Solo. It's kind of a side quest that begins the movie, but I love again, great sci-fi imagery of all these different alien species in Jabba the Hutt's, palace and in the desert. And then I love the action sequences of them over the pit, the Sarlacc pit, whatever. And people, falling in and getting eaten by this monster. And Luke getting his lightsaber. I absolutely love that scene where he jumps, grabs the board, goes up, catches the lightsaber, and starts fighting. I remember as a kid watching that, it blew my mind. I mean, I was like, that was one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen. I think I have so much nostalgia for that scene because I remember seeing that for the first time as a kid and just being like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. how Luke Skywalker did that. I absolutely love Luke because of that scene. And yeah, I love that whole scene and them defeating Jabba just to begin the movie. What a great beginning sequence. And them getting to the real thing is as we need to stop a new Death Star, of course. And I love how we have to basically break the movie into three parts. I think it was actually really cool and really great editing, and really gives you a lot of different stuff going and how they edit between it. Because we got Lando, who's in the Millennium Falcon, and with a bunch of other rebels, need to get into the Death Star, of course, and blow it up. But there's shields, so they have to get the shields down. So Han Solo and Leia and Chewbacca and some of them are down on this moon planet, and they got to infiltrate this base and take down the shields for this. Anyway, so they're doing their thing and fighting, and you got the Ewoks, of course. And then you got Luke Skywalker on a very emotional journey. Of course, finding out that Darth Vader is his father, and then in this movie, he does something I think is absolutely incredible that I don't see in many movies. And I don't think at that time I feel like it's something you wouldn't have seen coming. You would just think he's gonna have to kill his father, Darth Vader, because he's evil. But instead, he sees good in his father because the dad used to be a good person, turned evil, and so he's trying to turn his dad back to good, so that he will die a Jedi, a good person, and on the good side, not the dark side. So he's trying to save his father, even though his father has done so many evil things. I know it's something very poetically beautiful about the whole idea that he's not going to kill his father. He's going to turn his father from the dark side. And it's like, I never thought Darth Vader is going to have a redemption story. And I don't know, again, have we ever had a movie like that where you redeem such an evil character and you actually are rooting for it, because you get the idea that Anakin Skywalker wasn't always evil and got turned evil by Palpatine, and Palpatine's really the true evil that needs to be killed. I love the whole story, and I love the whole fight scene at the end. I think it's another really magnificent fight scene between father and son, and that scene where he's finds out that he actually has a daughter, and he said, "Oh, you have a sister. Maybe she'll turn to the dark side." And then that causes him to anger, and all of a sudden the music swells up, and I love the music. The music's so good. The music's swelling up, and he's fighting him with all his anger and takes off his arm, and then Palpatine's good, and wants him to kill him, but he's like, "No, I'm not gonna kill my father." And then this is why it's this high on my list, one of my favorite movies. I get so emotional at the end of this movie when Palpatine is hitting Luke with lightning. He's going to kill Luke, and Darth Vader, because you can't see his face, but yet you get all the emotions of Darth Vader as he looks to the Palpatine, looks to his son, looks to Palpatine, and then that decision, you kind of see it somehow in his actions. That decision, like, no, I can't let him kill my son, and he picks up the Emperor Palpatine and throws him, killing him. It's such a great emotional scene because of the music, because of the intensity, because of the editing. It's just an emotional moment of Darth Vader redeeming himself at that moment and saving his son. It's great. I absolutely love it. Again, say what you will. That's why I hope I gave a good explanation. This is why I love this movie even more than Empire Strikes Back, because of that moment. There's no other moment like that in Star Wars, and it's always going to be my favorite Star Wars movie, probably because of that whole story between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Anyway, and all that's great. I love how they all play out. They destroy the Death Star. Palpatine's dead, and then you have that song at the end of them celebrating, and then Luke looking out and seeing Yoda, the three most important people in his life, basically, like, that have helped him. Yoda has trained him. Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course, trained him, and then we get his father, and we get him turning to the light side, and the redemption of Anakin Skywalker going from good to evil back to good. It's just a great moment when he looks and sees them three and he smiles. Just a perfect ending to a great trilogy. In my opinion, best trilogy of all time. So that's why Star Wars, the Return of the Jedi, is my second favorite movie of the 1980s. So it leads me to my favorite movie, 1980s. Many of you should probably guess what it is. And I know Mike will be happy to hear me say this, but number one is Back to the Future. The very first Back to the Future movie here, came out in 1985. And again, it's produced by Spielberg, not directed. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, written by Zemeckis and Bob Gale. So here, like I said, all 5 movies, you either got George Lucas or Steven Spielberg involved. And again, it's a time travel movie, so you got sci-fi kind of action a little bit in there, but really it's a funny movie. I think it's so funny. It's got a great comedic feel to it, while also being some serious moments, obviously, and the whole time travel. I love time travel movies. And this is the best time travel movie of all time. This is, of course, a top 5 movie all time for me as well. And it really comes to, it's just a brilliantly, the premise is so great and the way it's executed is so amazing. It's one of the best scripts ever written. This idea of, what if you went back in time and met your parents in high school, and what if they were not the way they act like they were? Like, what if they were, did things that they shouldn't have in high school, and they're telling you now as a kid, like, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and then you see them in high school and go, you did the same thing I did. Because and it's funny because you never think about your parents being teenagers, because they're always been, grown-ups since you're a kid. And the idea to see your parents as teenagers is just a fun idea. And then the idea that he actually messes up his parents getting a meeting and falling in love and then eventually having kids. And so he actually almost doesn't exist because of his actions. And so the whole movie, again, I love this whole idea. The whole movie is him trying to get his father and mother to fall in love so that they will, get married and have kids, and you'll exist, or he won't exist. And the idea that he can tell by looking at a picture from the present time and seeing him and his siblings disappear, knowing that when they disappear, that means the future has been altered and he no longer exists in the future, and he's going to, disappear himself. Such a brilliant idea. Besides, time travel using a car is such a brilliant idea as well. And this is such a good cast. Michael J. Fox is so good as Marty McFly. Again, it's very funny at times, but he gives a really good performance. I love Christopher Lloyd. He's always been my favorite in the series as Doc Brown. I love Doc Brown, the 21 gigawatts. I love the intensity of his performance at times. Again, very funny a lot of times. And just the friendship actually is really good between the two. And it's got one of the greatest endings, again, ever. And one of my favorite scenes of all time being the scene where Biff is going to sexually assault Lorraine, Marty's mom, and he is being held captive by his goons and can't help save his mom. And then Jordan McFly opening the door thinking it's going to be Marty and they're not Biff, and then seeing Biff, of course, being scared because that's his bully. But then standing up, for once in his life, stands up to the bully and says, "No, you get out of there," or whatever he says. And him standing up to Biff, and then that scene of Biff holding him back, and we see the close-up of him clutching his fist, what's coming, and then the shot of the shock on Biff's face as he turns around, punches him in the face, knocks him out. The music, the editing, Biff laughing, the evil laugh, is just the perfect scene. It's one of my favorite scenes of all time. I still to this day get goosebumps when I watch that scene. When that scene comes on, I'm like, shut up, I have to watch the scene. This is so good. It's emotional. It's such a great character arc moment of George, finally standing up and, being a man. It's just perfect. It's just so wonderful. And then you get Marty playing Johnny Be Good, which is another great scene. And again, the ending of him coming back and seeing his parents are actually better off now after this whole experience. His parents are actually better. They're actually better people. They're, again, his dad is not the coward that he was before, I would say, who gets walked over, but he's actually got more authority, and he's actually written a book, something he's always wanted to do. And because of him, he chased his dream of being a sci-fi writer, and now he's wealthier. They have a better marriage. His siblings even are more successful. And Biff is just the guy washing their car instead of being the boss. It's just a perfect ending to a really great story. Yeah, it's just a perfect movie in my opinion. One of the greatest movies of all time. And it's my number one favorite movie of the 1980s, Back to the Future. So that's my list. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing my thoughts on these 100 movies, especially of the 1980s. Some hidden gems hopefully in there, and some obviously big hits. these top five obviously are big movies, did really well in the box office, and are well beloved for reasons. And I'm no different. I'm a nerd when it comes to these kind of things. Anyway, so yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you agree with my top five. Pretty good top five for this decade, anyways. And let me know what you thought. What's your top five favorite movies of the 80s? Love to hear your comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this episode plus the series and liking it. I really appreciate all that. And really appreciate all my subscribers. You guys mean so much to me and my channel. So thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great day.